Oh, yes, it's book time now. Well, fighter time too, but a bit of a book first. Carl Froch, The Cobra, My Story, published by Ebury Press at 18.99, is out today. It is today. It's a warts and all, very honest story. Carl's grandparents had a dreadful time. Carl's days hopping between homes and living above pub after pub. They're terrific reading, but it must have been hard. Formed him, shaped him. This book doesn't just gloss over the first 20 years of his life with like one anecdote like most boxing autobiographies do and pop straight into his first title fight. No way. It takes you through and in some graphic detail. The amateur stuff is terrific actually. It brought back tons of memories from me. The pro stuff never avoids the truth. It's straight, decent and honest. That in many ways is Carl Froch, if you don't mind me saying so. I'm delighted to say that Carl joins me on the line now. Good evening, Carl.
Evening, Steve.
How are you, friend? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Now, the book's out today, Carl, correct?
That's right, yes.
So you've been on a tour today, I'm assuming, doing lots of radio and bits and pieces.
Training and hurting my back and my elbow. I've done no tour, but I'll be doing a book signing in Nottingham very shortly.
You know what, Carl? One of the things I was going to ask you about is the details in here about your injuries, your catalogue of injuries and fighting with injuries and training through injuries.
Get the violins out. I know it's. You know what though? How many top athletes get their career ended too early, especially football players, due to injury. Injury is a big factor for all athletes.
It's certainly going through your book because it's just constant the amount of times that something seems to be going wrong. I mean, constantly wrong. Now, some of the stuff in here, Carl, I mean, as I said there in the intro, it's harsh and it's basic. The stuff about your father and his time in prison, that's harsh gear, that's hard gear. Some of those days and nights in different pubs that your mum ran. I mean, if anybody was wondering what shaped Carl Froch, all they need to do is buy your book and find out. It wasn't easy. I mean, may have been full of love, but it wasn't an easy childhood, was it?
No, not particularly. I mean, I don't know if anyone's got an easy childhood. It certainly wasn't a posh one, a silver spoon job. I come from a working class family, and my dad was very strict. He had a very strict father, a Polish grandfather, who he ruled his castle with a fist of iron or a rod of iron, and usually a fire poker actually, but no, it was a tough upbringing, and I think my dad sort of put that onto us. There was plenty of love, and he looked after us, and I love my dad dearly as I do to this day.
Sure.
But it's shaped me, like you say, it's moulded me to what I am today, so I've got to be grateful for it.
Well, it was your dad's love of boxing that really kept pushing you back, wasn't it? Because you had that big break, which most people probably don't realise. You had a big old break really in your late teens.
Yeah. He boxed out of Morton or Borstal actually, and I think he had 20 odd fights, knocked most of them out. I think he lost one fight, his last one, and then I think his head went. And when he came out of Borstal, I don't think he boxed much. He boxed for the local, the Stenton club, but no, it was definitely my dad's influence that got me into it, which is brilliant.
It certainly was. Now, Carl, when was that realisation that you could fight? Because I can remember you in sort of 99 and 2000, and Ron Bodie, the Bodie man as we call him, always insisting that Froch doesn't know how good he is. He won't accept how good he is. And that comes across a bit in the book. When did you realise, without being too egotistical, when did you realise you could fight?
First of all, did Bodie say that about everyone?
Yeah, he may have said it about everyone. Don't get technical, but you know what I'm saying.
No. I think the first time I actually realised I could fight, actually, if I'm totally honest, and it's quite easy for me to answer, it was when I actually lost to Chris Bessie in the ABA finals at light middleweight.
Good point.
And I lost to him, but I thought to myself, you know what? I've not been running. I've not been committed to this boxing game, and I didn't even know what the ABAs were. And there I was, losing a close point decision, dropping a kid twice in round 2 and round 5, and just losing that to a guy. I then went on to win a gold medal for the Commonwealth, and I was ranked number 2 in the country. And I thought, bloody hell, I've not even really tried. I'm playing at this, and I'm number 2 in the country. So the following year, I started running, and I went up to my proper weight, middleweight, and give it a go. And I won the ABAs quite comfortably, actually. I beat John Pearce in the Commonwealth. He was a Commonwealth gold medalist. Yeah. I beat him in the ABAs, and I realised then that I could fight, and I was decent. Although I loved it as a junior, and I won most fights as a junior. But as a kid, you don't quite know what you're doing. You're going up and down the country, travelling to club shows, and you just want to go home and show your trophy off. You're not really too aware of what's going on. But it was the ABAs at light middleweight when I realised I could have a bit of a go and do something with my life.
And you certainly did. Now, with that, obviously you didn't get that qualification for Sydney, which was, I mean, I remember at the time, because there's a story that isn't in a book, which I can remember. You talk about you had that box off with a guy in Venice But originally that box off with that guy was meant to be in Liverpool, but they claimed he'd left. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, that's it. He flew home. Did we not include that in the book?
No.
I've got to get on to Niall Lickman about that, because I told him about it. All right, let me just get my pen and paper.
Because none of us believe he'd flown home. Do you remember? We all thought he was still there, and he was hiding in his room.
So I fought Adrian Diacuno, if that's his name. He fought Pascal twice.
That's right.
I fought him in the, I think it was the box off, and I lost something like 10-0 or 14-1. And I think his face was that badly bashed he couldn't box in the final, but he beat me by a ridiculous score. But you know, the politics goes on even now to this day in every sport.
Yeah.
But no, I missed out on the Sydney Olympics, and then I went to the Worlds and I won a bronze medal, and the rest is history. So it's all part and parcel of structuring you and learning curve of what I've done and where I am.
Now, reading through the book, I mean, am I right to think that your peak so far in your mind, Carl, was the Abraham fight?
Performance-wise, such a flawless performance, yeah. But in terms of enjoying the fight and winning and the gratitude and how great I felt was probably the beating John Pascal for the world title in Nottingham.
It was also at home as well, remember?
Exactly, yeah. So that gives you a great elation when you finish and you get all the pats on the backs and the applause. It's very nice. But no, the career best performance must be the flawless one against Abraham.
And there's a part of the book when you're sort of going over that fight against Abraham, and it's clear that you didn't believe us when we were talking to you in Helsinki. It's clear you didn't believe it, that you had to watch it again and then assess it again. And I get the idea you sort of sat up from the chair one day, having watched it for the third or fourth time, and went, you know what, that wasn't bad. It really comes across that.
Yeah, it didn't sink in straight away, and it was such a... I don't want to disrespect Abraham because he's a great fighter, but it was such an easy night's work for me. I stuck to the game plan and it made it easy, but that's a big respect to Robert McCracken, because he put plan A and plan B in place, and I just executed it. But no, it was great. It really was. You was there yourself. You saw how good it was.
Yeah, the love for Rob McCracken in the book is relentless. It comes out all the time. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just so obvious and so clear, and so it should be. Right, so the book's called Carl Froch, The Cobra, My Story. It's published by Ebury. It's out today, no doubt. It's on Amazon, and as Carl said, there will be a signing somewhere in Nottingham. Let me know when that is, Carl, and I'll get it publicised on here. Let me just throw forward now, June the 4th, we're going to Atlantic City for Glenn Goff Johnson. It's not something that you really wanted to do, but it's something that's just the only way this fight could take place. That a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's how it worked out. That's how it's ended up. America, as it states in the contract, semi-final, final, both stateside. I would have liked to have been in a glamorous MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, or, the Bellagio Hall or wherever, somewhere else more, prestigious and bigger as well, because it's only a small venue. But it is what it is. It's Glenn Johnson. Yeah. No, not taking anything away from him, but he's a 42-year-old veteran who no one really gets too excited about, and it's got to happen over in America, so I'll go out there and I'll do the job. But like I said, they should call me the Road Warrior, not Johnson, because all my fighters have been on the road.
Yeah, four big ones out of about the last 7 have been on the road. Quite staggering. Now, there's lots of stuff going on, Carl. You're heading in the right place. We won't go into too many details, but you're heading in the right place with everything. Yeah,
fantastic, actually. And on that note, without going into too much detail again, I've just had a very promising, I probably shouldn't even say it, but I'll tell you a bunch, because I think a lot of you, but I've just had a promising meeting with Eddie Hearn. And, he's a gentleman, and he knows what he's doing, he knows what he's talking about. He's working with Darren Barker at the minute, who's got a great fight coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
One that he needs to win, and I'm sure he will win. He's really fit and strong, and there's some great feedback coming from his trainer, Tony Sims. But no, I've just had a promising meeting with him, and he's taking a bit of pressure off me here, so, big thanks to him.
Well, it's in fact, I've got Eddie's going to follow you in about 5 minutes' time, so that's
oh, is it? Okay. No, he's jumping on the train. So tell your producer to keep trying, but he needs a charger on his phone.
Okay, Ollie, did you hear that, Ollie? You've got to keep trying. Let me send him a producer. You've got to keep trying. Carl said needs a charge on his phone. All right, so we're thinking. So that'll be on June the 4th. We're expecting it to be on Sky, and then hopefully something later this year. Hopefully Eddie can organise something back here. That'd be nice.
Yeah, June the 4th. Then we've got the Super 6 final. That's going to be around the autumn time. Hopefully that's going to be against Ward. But I don't mind if it's against Abraham. I mean, that's another fight that I can win. But probably the exciting fight's going to be Ward, and the Americans one's going to be Ward. But after that, I want to be coming home and fighting in front of my British fans in England, Nottingham, wherever, London, as long as it's England, and putting a show on, and finishing up my career. The last 4, 5, 6 fights, I've got some big fights out there and exciting fights, and with Sky Television looking very promising, nothing there done yet, but it's looking very, very promising. Then it's exciting times for me towards the end of my career. It really is.
And I'll leave you with a reminder of what Joe Calzaghe said about you. The last time you and I spoke, Joe Calzaghe said he's the most exciting fighter in the world today. Even I'd pay to see him. I think you were shocked.
I was, yeah. It was very, very nice of him to say that.
He meant it.
Yeah, I know he did. I've sat down at length actually with Joe Calzaghe at the Sports Personality Awards and had a good chat with him. He's actually a lovely bloke. I wish that I didn't give the tick in the box for some of the press releases that were put together for me a few years ago that were put in front of me, and I said, yeah, go on, send it. It was a mistake, but Calzaghe knows where they came from, and he's a good man, and he retired undefeated, and not many people are going to do that. I'm certainly not going to do that because I've got kept at defeat. He's a good man, he really is.
Yeah, listen, well, I'm a big fan, and I'm a big fan of him as a person. And in fact, I used to tell you, he ain't a bad fella. We didn't have fallouts, but I'd say, to you, Carl, he ain't a bad fella. He ain't a bad fella. That was back when he was.
I still reckon, Steve. I still reckon the fight could happen. I'm not just saying that.
Oh, don't say that, Carl.
He asked for 10 million, all right? And if Sky come on board, the whole of Britain want to see that fight.
I know.
Who's to say it won't happen?
No, he did. No, Carl, he didn't ask for 10 million. He said he would do it for a lot less than that. I think you'd get him for about 4 million.
Yeah, I reckon so, and that'd be a fair fight. You know what? That can happen, that fight. So let's not write it off.
I'm not writing it off. I'd love to see it. Listen, Carl, I'm going to let you go because you know what? You sound tired. I know you've had a great day. Listen, let me ask you this quickly. Baby and Rachel okay? Rocco and Rachel okay? Everything okay?
Yeah, they were the grandparents in Liverpool at the minute. He's not been there for a while, but yeah, very well, thank you, Steve.
Listen, Carl, it's always a pleasure talking to you. The book, Carl Froch, The Cobra, My Story, out today by Ebury, and you heard Carl there talking. He's always honest. He's always absolutely straight. He's not a good liar, Carl. He's just a rubbish liar. He can't hold things back. He's just honest and straight. And the book, I tell you what, you can see why.